right, if loving you is wrong, fans, I just finished the episode Randall stage. I fell asleep at like 8:30, then I woke up at a little past midnight, but I just finished the episode, got all my notes done. So after I record this, I'm quickly going to do the episode preview for next week. Excuse me. So you should have both videos up at the same time the day after the episode aired, as opposed to the weekends, because I already apologized about last week. But for this particular episode, I'm not going to lie, I don't want to come down too hard on it. This was what, episode 4, if I'm not mistaken, episode 4, and episode 3, and it was definitely a lot of setup for what's to come. And I think off the cuff, I'll give the episode maybe a 7.5 out of 10. It wasn't a bad episode, but it wasn't like, it's something that I'm glad I didn't stay up late to watch, because I know it sounds weird for a 27-year-old to say, but 10 o'clock can be late depending on where your sleeping pattern is at the time. So it was just definitely a setup episode. There was a lot of talking, a lot of scenes dragged out. But just like quickly reviewing the episode, pretty much we break up the fight in the bar. Esperanza leaves. Eddie says shots on everyone. And we got, I think that's the one thing that kind of threw me off. We got a little bit of Eddie, just a little bit, as opposed to him taking up so many scenes. Randall checks out Tanya while exposing himself in the window. Gotta love Randall. Steven's waiting for Esperanza outside of the house, and this is one of those drawn out scenes I was talking about. They had their back and forth about how Esperanza is confusing as hell, which I can definitely agree with. Keep going back and forth, but I ain't got time for no games. I'm like, I ain't got time for this scene to drag on for 10 minutes, but it did anyway. But then at the end of it all, he's invited in after deciding, I get to have some rules, you get to have some rules. And then they go in to have sex. Duncan calls Eddie, tells him what's going on. Eddie says, make sure you and the guys wear masks. The plan has not changed. Kick his ass, break his pretty face. Okay. Then Randall calls Alex. Pretty much definitely a setup for what's to come, when Randall goes over to Alex's house in the next episode. Basically, you can come see the baby. Not now. My other kids are sleeping. The baby's sleeping. I ain't got time for this mess. And once again, he's in front of the window for her to see. She obviously wants that, but at the same time, it's like, I'm tired. I just want all of this to stop. So Alex is kind of like Candace in a sense, from the haves and the have-nots, where Candace is like tired after all the stuff she's been through, so she's trying to make peace and whatnot. But the problem is, just because you're tired of living the worst kind of life that you've been living, that doesn't change all the lies and deception and the hurt that you've caused to others. So, yes, it's good that you want to change. Same with Alex. It's good that you want to change and make peace. But at the same time, not everyone in your life that you have wronged or lied to is going to be willing to accept that change. Because guess what? You've pushed them so far away with your deception that they don't want to have a damn thing to do with you. And that's the same thing with Brad. But we'll get to that later in the review. Basically, Randall just takes it one step too far, and then she gets off the phone with him, and you can pretty much tell that she was into it. But then he leaves another message for Larry. Gotta love him for that. And aside from that, he decides to flex in front of Tanya again, because surprisingly enough, she was still staring at him from the window like a freaking owl. So he has her pegged, is the best way to put it. Then Ian and Marcy catch up, and I feel like this is why the episode has so many drawn out scenes and a lot of talking. We're getting interactions between characters, and they're catching up on everything that's been going down, because remember, the show's been gone for over a year. Pretty much Ian and Marcy catch up. He makes a pass at her. She's kind of like, I gotta go home, but here are your keys, and that's pretty much it. The only other follow-up to that is when he actually offers to take care of Randall for her if she offers to take him out to dinner. But then after that, we have Lucian and Natalie talking. Natalie pretty much, I guess you could say, I don't want to make this sound bad, but condemning or judging Kelly for being selfish by trying to take her own life. But then Lucian rightfully says, well, you have to look at everything the woman's been through. And then it's hard for you to say that because, you are, so used to not being vulnerable. And even though I was a bit annoyed by Natalie, but also like in last episode when Esperanza was kind of saying the same thing, I can't believe she would do something like that. Yeah, it is annoying, but it is consistent with their character personalities. And plus, that is a reflection of real life because let's say, and heaven forbid anything like this ever happens, but if you're in a friend group with a bunch of maybe 5 to 10 close friends, let's just lower that number. Let's just say 5 or 6, but then one person tries to take their life. There's always going to be that one person who's like, why would they do something like that? And usually it's the people who break down in silence that are the ones who, suffer from that kind of thing. And when they try to take their own life, it's kind of like, I never saw it coming. There were no signs. And sometimes the signs were there. You just didn't really choose to, see them. Natalie is almost like, look, you saw the woman breaking down and then she gave you a letter and told you not to read it. And Natalie being nosy Natalie, I'm surprised she didn't read it when she got to the damn parking lot of the jail, where she went to her car to drive home. I'm surprised she didn't do that. So, I do feel like, she shouldn't have said that about Kelly. But once again, it is kind of a reflection of real life. Then after that, we did get a name drop. Joey's still in jail. And, Ian is heard moving in across the street. Lucian goes to see him, and the acting from Ian in this scene was a bit off-putting. I felt like, and once again, whenever I say something about the delivery of a character, it's not necessarily faulting the actor or actress. I just felt like maybe Ian needed a bit more direction in this scene because he really wasn't convincing. I know he was trying to portray someone who was concerned but then acting nonchalant to Lucian, but then also not revealing the truth about what Larry has planned, because if you remember correctly, all the damning evidence Ian had on Travis, pretty much everything he's done against Kelly, Larry wanted him to just trash it, just get rid of it. So that's why he's pretty much keeping that under wraps, because on one hand he wants to save Kelly, but then on the other he wants to save his career because Larry could destroy it. But Lucian pretty much rightfully chews him out. If anything, I watched The Temptations about a couple of days, over the weekend. So, just seeing Lucian chew him out really reminded me of when Otis was doing the same thing to a bunch of people in the group. But after that, he's like, look, you don't have to sneak around anymore. If you want to move in, do it during the day, not during the night. I won't bother you, and that's it. And I'm about to flip over the page here so you can hear the background noise. Then Lucian, pissed off, talks to Natalie, and then Natalie's like, hey, if you want to use your money that I know you have and get a lawyer because I know the kind of person you are, I wish you would just talk with me about it first because, you can help. Just don't put it in a position where we're going to be in trouble as well. And because, we got these kids and everything. I'm just like, well, I'm pretty sure Lucian, he helps. If anything, the man needs some sleep. And this is going to be mentioned in the preview for next week, but he's like Ian's the only good lawyer in town, kind of like he's the only good cop in town. Damn. It's kind of like, Lucian's almost like Justin from the Haves and Have-Nots. Like, is he the only cop on call? And I'm talking about Justin before he got suspended from the force. But yeah, and basically Lucian pulls David and Jim by saying, I'll handle it. So then we move on to another lengthy scene. Brad sitting with laying with Marcy. And honestly, it was long and drawn out, but I did like this scene because after all the drama that's been going on, sometimes it's good to have quiet moments like this. But then there's the problem of when an episode is too full of quiet moments where characters are just talking and relaxing. That's good for characters who have been active for a while. Look at everything Marcy's done over the past 3 episodes, including the finale last season. So we pretty much talk about how both Marcy and both sets of broken marriages are prepared for divorce soon. Brad's like, we should date, and yeah, we should take it slow. But then if things get ugly where Alex doesn't want to sign the papers and she doesn't make an income because she's a stay-at-home mom, Brad's like, I'll still support her. But if she doesn't want to sign the papers or it gets too ugly, Marcy recommended getting Larry to help him out with that, which would be interesting because, correct me if I'm wrong, but have Brad and Larry ever interacted before? And then after that, Alex calls to apologize, and Brad pretty much calls her out for, using the kids to get to him and make him come by the house. But really, they will see Brad when he picks them up from school and when he drops them off in the morning from school. And I felt bad because my boo Alex in that big bed by herself, just being talked to like a dog. And I'm like, oh yeah, I still got to do that Alex video. Don't worry, it's coming. But after that, oh yeah, Randall did mention to Alex about how the hard drive is gone. I'm thinking the whole time, well, damn. Alex should definitely, I mean, Randall should definitely invest in iCloud. That way his stuff is stored online too. Who knows? But Randall goes to see Tanya, creeps her out. This is probably one of the better scenes of the episode. Actually, yeah, I could talk about this because I was going to save it for last, but I might as well. I'm talking about the episode in order. Basically, Randall is creepy as hell, but it shows how intelligent he is as a doctor, and he's able to manipulate people and play mind games. So I was actually pretty impressed by the scene, despite how creepy it was. I mean, honestly, don't even need to recap everything he said because it was in the episode from, you know, recognizing the color red as a trigger point for Tanya, talking about how, you know, he saw the pills and pretty much from there did a hide your kids, hide your wife in regards to the women in this neighborhood to keep her husband on lockdown. And yeah, I gotta admit, Randall is annoying as hell, but he plays creepy much better than Justin. Kind of like, you know, how I talked about in Out of Time, how they dialed up the creepy meter on Justin way too high. For Randall, this is normal and it fits. I guess it's the best way to put it. So overall, this was probably my favorite scene. And yeah, again, if you didn't know, she's pregnant but Bennett's child, allegedly. Hopefully it isn't a situation where, yeah, we moved from the last neighborhood because I got knocked up by somebody else. Hopefully that's not the case, because if anything, Tanya would just be another Alex, if you will. But after that, Rick goes to see Kelly, and I think this scene with Pat actually made me laugh a lot. It's like, fine, you get to go back there, you give me $100 and 2 Powerball tickets, and I'm thinking to myself, that's ironic because the Powerball numbers came out yesterday, at least in Virginia. Yeah, Powerball numbers came out yesterday. Yeah, I got a few tickets. I only got 3 out of 5 numbers and no Powerball, so I won $7. I ain't mad at that. I spent 10. No lie, I'm literally, that's what happened last night. Then he apologizes to Kelly, talks about how, hey, if you say you got chest pains, you get to go to the hospital. Not a bad scene, just not a lot to take away from it. Like I said, this episode definitely consisted of a lot of talking and catching up. Then after that, Randall calls Larry, and, you know, he thinks it's his wife, and we will be seeing her soon. I believe her name is Mandy. And, you know, Randall pretty much tapped into the private line. Pretty much wants to confront him about the divorce papers and says, why don't you come by the house? My wife will cook some dinner. We can talk and catch up. But he hangs up. And then we get to the last scene. Steven gets up to go home and then gets jumped by Duncan and his goons. I got to say, Steven handled like, what, half a dozen guys, and this moves into the next episode. But like I said, I'll talk about that in the preview. Yeah, those guys jumped out of the car to confront Steven. It's almost like, you know, you're going into Walmart and then the Girl Scout cookies are there and then you don't want any. But as soon as you come out of the exit, you know, like 6 Girl Scouts like, you ain't leaving until you buy a box of cookies. Yeah, it's kind of like that. So that was pretty good. So overall, guys, not a bad episode, but not one I see myself rewatching anytime soon. Definitely set up for what's to come. You know, it is only episode 3 because I don't want to be too hard on it, because with the haves and the have-nots, I should say the same thing. Even when I give an early episode a low ranking, it's not because it's bad, but because the episode is so early in the season, we have to set up a lot of things for the mid-season and then season finale. So if you love the episode, that's great. But like I said, I think a 7.5 is a fair score, at least in my opinion. So as always, make sure you hit the subscribe button, click the like button, as well as the bell notification icon. I don't want to jinx it, but based off the channel growth, we should be hitting 70,000 subscribers later today. So by the end of Thursday, it is Thursday right now. So, I mean, that means the channel would have grown by 1,000 people within 5 days. So that is fantastic. And like I said before, once we hit 75,000 subscribers, that's when I'm definitely going to be doing some giveaways. So thanks so much for tuning in. Like I said before, I will definitely try my best to make sure episode reviews and trailer breakdowns go up within 24 hours after the episode airs, unless something unforeseen happens. Like, for example, next Thursday, I'm actually going to be going home. I'm probably going to be home from next Wednesday to the weekend, probably Saturday or Sunday. Long story short, my nephew's going on a field trip to Natural Bridge. Honestly, I've never been on a field trip with him because, remember, I was working at the call center back in the day, and then last year I was doing my first year of YouTube full time, so I was trying to make money. But now things have gotten to the point where I'm good. I'm cool. But I just want to do this one thing, you know. So I'm probably going to go home. Me and my sister are going to go with them. So I will probably have my episode review and whatnot late, but it will be coming. So with that being said, thanks so much for tuning in, and let me go ahead and get ready to record the trailer breakdown for next week, episode 4, Chest Pains. Congratulations on making it to the end of this video. If you like what you just saw, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, or if you have anything you would like to add to the video, make sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. If you want to keep up with me on social media, go to the description box. All of my links for social media are right there. Also, if you feel like you would like to donate to the channel, make sure to click on the link to PayPal. Any amount helps. $1, $5, $20. As a full-time YouTuber, any support from my fans really does mean a lot to me. Finally, make sure to hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification icon. That way you're kept up to date on any new content I post to the channel. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you in the next video.